Welcome back to the Great Indian AI podcast channel. Your go-to place for deep dives into all sorts of fascinating topics. And today we're setting off on a journey to explore the Qur'an.
It's a text revered by Muslims worldwide, and we're going to uncover why it holds such a significant place, not just in religious practice, but also in history and culture.
Yeah, and I think what's really fascinating is that we often hear about the Qur'an, but how many of us outside the faith have actually delved into its history, its structure, its content? I'm really excited to learn more, and I think our listeners are too. So let's dive right in. One of the first things that struck me is the word Qur'an itself. I understand it has a deeper meaning.
Absolutely. Qur'an translates to recitation in Arabic, and that really speaks to the importance of the oral tradition in its early days.
So if it began as an oral tradition, what prompted its transition to a written text?
Well, imagine this. It's the 7th century, and paper is a scarce commodity. The revelations received by the Prophet Muhammad were initially recorded on whatever was available. Pieces of bone tablets, even date palm fronds.
Date palm fronds. That's incredible. It really paints a picture of the dedication and resourcefulness of those early communities striving to preserve these revelations.
Exactly. And that commitment only intensified after the Battle of Yama, where a significant number of those who had memorized the Qur'an were lost. This tragic event prompted Abu Bakr, the first caliph, to commission the compilation of a complete written manuscript.
A wise move to safeguard those precious teachings. Who spearheaded this monumental task?
A companion of the Prophet named Zayd ibn Thabit. He had served as a scribe during the Prophet's time, recording the revelations as they were received. So he was entrusted with gathering all those fragments and compiling them into a cohesive manuscript.
That's amazing. It sounds like he played a pivotal role in shaping the Qur'an as we know it today.
He did, but the story doesn't end there. A few decades later, Caliph Uthman, the third caliph, noticed slight variations in pronunciation and dialect emerging within the growing Muslim community. To address this, he commissioned the creation of a standardized version, the Uthmanic Codex.
The Uthmanic Codex, if I'm not mistaken, is the version most widely used today. It's remarkable how much care went into ensuring its accuracy and consistency.
And it speaks volumes about the importance placed on preserving the sanctity of the text from the very beginning.
And I'm curious about the structure of the Qur'an. Can you shed some light on that?
Certainly. The Qur'an is divided into 114 chapters known as surahs. Each surah is further divided into verses, or ayahs.
And what about the content itself? What kind of topics does the Qur'an cover?
It covers a remarkably broad spectrum, actually. It outlines fundamental Islamic beliefs, including the existence of God, the Day of Judgment, and the concept of prophethood. It narrates stories of prophets offering ethical and legal guidance for Muslims.
So it's not just about religious doctrine, but also about practical guidelines for living a just and moral life.
Precisely. The Qur'an also touches upon historical events, emphasizes the importance of charity and prayer, and presents alternative perspectives on events described in biblical narratives. It assumes some familiarity with those narratives, leading to intriguing comparisons and interpretations.
That's really interesting. So it encourages a comparative approach to understanding these shared stories. Now, you mentioned that the Qur'an was revealed over a period of 23 years. Did this extended time frame lead to any interesting developments within the text itself?
That's a great question. It brings up the concept of abrogation in Islamic thought. This means that later verses revealed in the Qur'an can supersede earlier ones on a given topic.
So the Qur'an reflects an evolution of thought, adapting to the changing context of the time.
Exactly. And this makes understanding the historical context of each revelation even more crucial when interpreting the text.
This is already so insightful, and I can't wait to delve deeper. But, before we continue our exploration of the Qur'an, I think it's a great time to remind our listeners about the importance of engaging with our content here on the Great Indian AI podcast channel. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on this episode. And if you're enjoying our deep dives, make sure to subscribe for more. We'll be right back after a short break.
Welcome back to the Great Indian AI podcast channel. Before the break, we were talking about the evolution of thought within the Qur'an. This concept of abrogation is fascinating because it really highlights the dynamism of the text.
Yeah, you're right. It adds a layer of complexity that I think encourages a deeper understanding of the context surrounding each verse.
Exactly. And speaking of understanding, let's talk about how Muslims interpret and engage with the Qur'an's message. This brings us to tafsir.
Tafsir. Now that's a word I've heard but never fully grasped.
It essentially translates to exegesis, which is a fancy way of saying interpretation. It's a rich, scholarly tradition dedicated to explaining the meanings of the Quranic verses, diving deep into their linguistic nuances, historical context, and even their connection to other verses.
So it's not just about reading the words on the surface, but uncovering the layers of meaning beneath.
Precisely. Early interpretations focused on the literal meanings, the circumstances surrounding the revelation of specific verses, and drawing connections between different parts of the text.
It sounds like a fascinating puzzle, piecing together all these different elements to arrive at a deeper understanding.
And over time, different schools of thought emerged within tafsir, each with its own methodologies and perspectives on interpreting the Quran.
So there's not just one definitive way to interpret the text.
Exactly. This diversity of thought enriches the study of the Quran, encouraging ongoing dialogue and debate. Now, while tafsir helps us understand the Quran in its original Arabic translations, play a crucial role in making its message accessible to a global audience.
That makes sense. But translating a text as layered and nuanced as the Quran must come with unique challenges.
Absolutely. Translating the Quran isn't simply about finding equivalent words in another language. It's about conveying the depth, the beauty, the rhythm of the Arabic language, which is so intrinsically linked to the Quran's impact.
So it's not just a linguistic exercise, but a cultural one as well.
Precisely. Translators have to grapple with cultural nuances, poetic elements, and the historical context of the revelations to capture the true essence of the text.
It sounds like an incredibly intricate and demanding task. Now, we've talked about interpreting and translating the Quran, but how about recitation? I understand there's a specific art to it.
You're right, it's called tajwid, and it involves mastering the precise pronunciation of each Arabic letter and applying specific rhythmic patterns during recitation.
So it's not just reading the words, but delivering them in a way that enhances their beauty and impact.
Exactly. And there are even two main styles of recitation. Muratal is a slower, more deliberate style, often used for study and personal reflection. Mujawad, on the other hand, is more melodic and expressive, typically used in public recitations.
So one focuses on individual contemplation, while the other emphasizes the shared experience of the recitation.
You've got it. Both contribute to the rich tradition of Quranic recitation in the Muslim world. Now, while these traditions have been practiced for centuries, modern research continues to shed new light on the Quran.
That's fascinating. Are there any particular discoveries or debates happening in academia right now that you find particularly interesting?
There are always new avenues being explored in Quranic studies. For instance, the discovery of the Sana manuscripts in 1972 provided invaluable insights into the early history of the Quranic text.
The Sana manuscripts, I have to admit I'm not familiar with those.
They're considered some of the oldest Quranic texts ever found, and they offer glimpses into the evolution of the text over time. Some of them even contain palimpsests.
Palimpsests. I've heard the term before, but could you refresh my memory?
Imagine this. Ancient parchments were precious, and to save resources, they were often reused by washing off the original text and writing over it. A palimpsest is a manuscript where traces of that erased text can still be seen underneath.
It's like uncovering a hidden layer of history, isn't it?
Exactly. And in the case of the Sana palimpsests, they reveal variant readings and styles of writing that offer fascinating clues into the development of the Quranic text.
So these manuscripts act as a window into the past, helping us trace the journey of the Quran from its early form to the standardized version we know today.
Precisely. And these discoveries spark ongoing research and discussions among scholars about the implications of these findings.
It's amazing to think that a text as old as the Quran continues to be a source of exploration and discovery even today. This deep dive has truly opened my eyes to the richness and depth of the Quran.
It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you.
And to our listeners, we hope you found this exploration as enriching as we did. And, we talk about these amazing discoveries and the depth of scholarship, but it always brings me back to the power of simple engagement with a text. Like just opening the Quran and reading a passage or listening to a recitation can be such a powerful experience. And speaking of powerful experiences, let's not forget the incredible community we're building here at the Great Indian AI Podcast channel. We really encourage you to share your thoughts and reflections on this episode in the comments. We love hearing from you. And if you're new to the channel and enjoying our content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to us. And of course, a big thank you to our expert for sharing your knowledge and insights with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. We hope you'll continue to explore and learn with us on the Great Indian AI Podcast channel. Until next time, keep those curious minds engaged. Welcome back to the Great Indian AI Podcast channel. We've spent this episode exploring the Quran, and I have to say it's been an incredibly enriching journey.
Yeah, it's a text that holds immense significance for over 1 billion people worldwide, and I'm glad we had this opportunity to kind of, shed some light on its history, its structure, and impact.
Before we wrap up, I think it'd be good to recap some of the key takeaways from our deep dive,
Yeah.
for listeners who might be just joining us or just want to, make sure they got everything.
Excellent idea. So, first and foremost, we established that the Quran is the central religious text of Islam, believed to be the word of God as revealed to the Prophet Muhammad over 23 years.
And what I found fascinating was its journey from oral tradition to written text. Those early recordings on materials like date palm fronds, pieces of bone tablets, it speaks volumes about the dedication to preserving those revelations.
Absolutely. And that dedication led to the, meticulous compilation of a complete manuscript under Abu Bakr, the first caliph. And then later, Caliph Uthman ensured a standardized version with the Uthmanic Codex, which remains the most widely used version today.
It's amazing how this care and attention to detail from the very beginning helped maintain the Quran's integrity throughout history.
Right.
But it's not just a historical artifact, is it? The Quran's content continues to resonate with people today.
Of course. We talked about the wide range of topics it covers: fundamental Islamic beliefs, stories of prophets, ethical and legal guidelines, historical events, and even social principles. It's a text that offers guidance for various aspects of life.
And it does so with such a beautiful and unique literary style. The use of rhymed prose, the rhythmic flow of the verses, it's captivating.
Definitely. And that captivating style is further enhanced through the art of tajweed, which emphasizes precise pronunciation and rhythmic patterns during recitation. We discussed how different styles like murattal and mujawad cater to individual contemplation and shared experiences, respectively.
It's amazing how the Quran has permeated various aspects of life and culture, from personal reflection to communal gatherings, and it continues to be a source of study and research, as we saw with the discovery of the Sana'a manuscripts.
Yeah, those manuscripts offer valuable insights into the early history of the text, showcasing variant readings and styles of writing that highlight the evolution of the Quran over time.
This deep dive has truly been a journey of discovery, unveiling the layers of history, meaning and impact embedded within the Quran. It's a text that speaks to the heart of a faith and continues to shape the lives of millions around the world. So to our listeners, we hope you found this exploration as enriching as we did. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of the Quran, don't forget to like, share, and comment on this episode. And if you're eager for more insightful journeys into the world of knowledge and culture, be sure to subscribe to the Great Indian AI podcast channel. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those curious minds engaged.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.